Good evening. I'm Ronald Lauder, President of the World Jewish Congress. On behalf of my co-chairs, David de Rothschild and Shela Safra, welcome and thank you for joining us. Joining us for the annual Theodor Herzl Award Gala Dinner. If you think one man can change the world, think again. Theodor Herzl started the movement that created the Jewish state of Israel. In doing this, he transformed the Jewish people from ghetto Jews to proud, heroic Jews. This is the man who we name our award after. Unlike previous Herzl dinners, we are not gathered together in New York tonight because of the pandemic. We've created a unique gathering of Jewish people around the world, from the United States to Australia, from Buenos Aires to Bucharest, from Johannesburg to Jerusalem. We may not be together, but we are still connected. That goes to the heart of what the World Jewish Congress is all about. This one organization represents Jewish communities in more than 100 countries around the world. It's the umbrella organization for every Jewish person, everywhere. It began in 1936 when a tiny group of Jewish leaders gathered in Geneva to warn the world about the growing danger coming out of Nazi Germany. They failed because they did not have the power or the influence to stop Hitler. But there was another reason. Their warning fell on deaf ears because of the world's complete indifference to the plight of the Jews. Today, things have changed. The World Jewish Congress has the influence, and we have the power to make sure world leaders understand that when Jews in their countries are safe and free, everyone benefits. But we can't do this alone. I cannot do this alone. If you care about the future of the Jewish people, please stand with me and make your mark, just as Herzl did. I will tell you that being president of the World Jewish Congress has been one of the greatest honors of my life.
We are the World Jewish Congress. Founded in 1936, we have been here for the Jewish people ever since. We were the first organization to warn the world of Nazi Germany's final solution. We supported the founding of a Jewish state. Over the years, we have stood on the front lines in the efforts to support survivors and rebuild Jewish life from the ashes of the Holocaust. We were the ones who exposed Austrian President and former UN Secretary General Kurt Waldheim as a Nazi, implicated in war crimes. We aided the liberation of Soviet Jewry. We initiated Jewish Catholic dialogue, and we led the negotiations that resulted in a $1.25 billion settlement with Swiss banks for dormant accounts of Holocaust victims. This is our past, but we live in the present and look to the future. And we are here to continue our mission, motivated by the same vision that Theodor Herzl embodied. Today, there is only one organization that brings the Jewish people together to let the world know what we stand for: the World Jewish Congress. We bring together Jewish communities from more than 100 countries. We serve as a guiding force for the next generation of Jewish leaders. We continue to preserve the memory of the Holocaust through projects like the We Remember campaign and aboutholocaust.org, and through strong partnerships that we have formed with organizations such as UNESCO, the European Union, and social media companies. We have reached millions and are working to ensure that the lessons of the past can be used to build a better future. We protect the rights of Jews to freely practice their religion, while at the same time forging bonds with leaders of different faiths and nationalities. We do this so that we can stand united against the resurgence of neo-Nazism and white supremacy around the world, so that we can fight back against the waves of hate directed at the world's only Jewish state, Israel. In the 21st century, we have also taken our fight against anti-Semitism online. We are working with the world's largest internet and social media companies to improve their policies. bringing down hundreds of thousands of posts, denigrating the Jewish people and denying or distorting the Holocaust. Why do we do this? Because we believe that this is our purpose. We believe that this is our way. We believe that a better world is possible. And we pledge to make it real.
It is no accident that we hold the Herzl Award dinner on November 9th, the anniversary of Kristallnacht. But the most important lesson we should all remember from Kristallnacht, it's not the 1,200 synagogues set on fire, or the shattered windows, or even the law-abiding Jewish citizens who were beaten in the streets. The real lesson of Kristallnacht was the world's reaction. There was none. The real lesson of Kristallnacht was the world's complete indifference to the Jewish people. In a meeting 5 days after Kristallnacht, Hitler said, "We can do whatever we want with the Jews because the world doesn't care." And that's exactly what he did. The Holocaust began on November 9th, 1938. It began on Kristallnacht. 82 years later, we still face indifference. But today, it's a very different form of indifference. It breaks my heart to say this, but it is Jewish indifference, indifference towards other Jews, indifference towards Israel, indifference to the growing anti-Semitism from the right and the left, that many Jews pretend is not happening. And this indifference is causing many young Jews to walk away from their religion, their traditions, and their people. Perhaps it is our tremendous success that has made us so complacent. We came out of the horrors of the Holocaust, and in just 75 years, Jews changed the miracle of a strong, prosperous, and brilliant Jewish state. And around the world, we have attained financial and political power. That past generation could only dream about it. But 75 years later, we are so divided. Secular against religious, religious against secular. Diaspora Jews who don't support Israel, Israelis who ignore the diaspora. We in the World Jewish Congress are fighting this indifference and the divisions on every level. We work closely with religious and the non-religious communities. We defend Jews in the diaspora, and we will always defend Israel. As President of the World Jewish Congress, I have personally traveled around the world to meet the leaders of 40 countries. Wherever there is anti-Semitism, the World Jewish Congress confronts it head-on. We are at the forefront of the fight against anti-Semitism on social media. And a major policy change after our close work with Facebook, the internet giant, it is now removing posts with anti-Semitic stereotypes and Holocaust denial. For me, our protection of the smaller Jewish communities around the world is so important. These small communities were once thriving Jewish centers with great rabbis and yeshivas. Now they're just a shadow of what they once were. But I have seen firsthand the desire to not just survive, but to thrive. And many of them are growing. This is vital for all of us because Israel needs the support of a strong Jewish diaspora, just as we in the diaspora need the support of a strong Israel. I have a vision for the future of our Jewish people, and I am absolutely confident that we can achieve this. If we come together as one united Jewish family, the World Jewish Congress will devote all of its resources to this. Anywhere there is a Jew that needs our help, we'll be there. This is our mission, and it's been our mission since that group of Jewish leaders came together in Switzerland in 1936. If I have one legacy, this is my aim for as long as God allows me to do this. But I cannot do this alone. Give me your hand. Give me your help. Please join me in this vital work in joining the World Jewish Congress. And if we do this all together, we will not fail. Thank you. Toda rabah.
In Belgium, 2 regions decided to outlaw our religious freedom. Thanks to the World Jewish Congress, we were able to challenge the legality of those measures.
For the past 16 years, neo-Nazis from Bulgaria and abroad were marching on the streets of Sofia. With the support of the World Jewish Congress, this year we were able to stop this march.
От имени Еврейского культурно-образовательного фонда GCC Тбилиси я выражаю глубокую благодарность за вашу финансовую поддержку в столь трудные для нас времена.
Y en nombre de la comunidad quería agradecer al Congreso Judío Mundial por el apoyo financiero que nos dieron en estos momentos de crisis y también al Congreso Judío Latinoamericano por el asesoramiento en el fortalecimiento de la seguridad de nuestras instituciones.
With World Jewish Congress help, we were able to connect with communities from all over the world and with Israel. This gave us a tremendous boost of morale at a difficult time.
We have a big hospital, Jewish hospital, with 400 patients. And in this time, the World Jewish Congress sent us some help to buy some equipment. It was very, very successful.
Symbolically, from the place where the synagogue and the Jewish Culture Center will be built, I just want to say thank you, World Jewish Congress. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, World Jewish Congress, and благодаря.
תודה רבה והצלחה.
Thank you, World Jewish Congress. תודה מכל הלב.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. köszönjük szépen.
Thank you, the World Jewish Congress. Dank u. Merci.
Shalom. My name is Dr. Melissa Jane Kronfeld, and I'm a proud member of the World Jewish Congress Jewish Diplomatic Corps since 2015 and an Ola Kadasha since 2019. Tonight I'm speaking to you from the heart of the Jewish world, from the soul of the Jewish people, from the eternal capital of the state of Israel, the city of Jerusalem. For 2,000 years, the Jewish people have yearned to return to their homeland, the land of Israel. So how did we get here? The evolution of Aliyah from a dream to a reality is due in large measure to the father of modern Zionism, Theodor Herzl. Through his commitment, determination, and faith in the future, Theodor Herzl inspired a people to become a nation and catalyzed a movement that turned a nation into a state. It is because of Herzl that I am here today. It is because of Herzl that the Jewish people will remain here for all the days to come, while growing stronger with each and every single one of them. Tonight, the World Jewish Congress has the distinct privilege and honor to present the prestigious Theodor Herzl Award to United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, a fitting tribute to a true friend of Israel.
That's fantastic.
The World Jewish Congress has fought to make the world a better place and more equitable, more tolerant, more just, and safe for Jewish people worldwide.
We live in a world where an institution such as the World Jewish Congress is an absolute must.
Trust is the coin of the realm, and we need to rebuild it. And this organization, from all I can see, is helping to do that.
On behalf of the State of Israel, I want really to congratulate you for this service.
Friendship between Israel and the United States is a central element.
The vision and prophecy of Theodore Herzl has become real so many years after his death. And America's dedication, America's alliance, and America's support of the democratic state of Israel has never wavered, and it never will.
There could be no greater compliment than to have our family's name linked to the sacred name of Herzl through your prize.
We must never accept a situation where in Germany people have to be afraid because of their faith, because of their religion, because of where they come from. We have to do everything we can so as to ensure that Jews in Germany can live in freedom and in security.
Anti-Semitism is not treated with the same disdain as racism or other forms of hate. It is exactly the same. It must never be tolerated.
Never keep silent. Whenever Jews are threatened anywhere, don't keep silent.
We must confront anti-Semitism whenever it occurs. We must continue our work to defeat the stubborn evil of anti-Semitism.
Mr. Secretary General, as I bestow upon you the World Jewish Congress' highest honor, our Theodore Herzl Award, I regret that I am unable to present this to you personally at this moment. But when you receive it, please know that it comes with our deepest appreciation to you for being the voice of fairness and equity that the State of Israel and the Jewish people have been hoping for at the United Nations for a long, long time. For too many decades, the UN has had a bizarre fixation on the Jewish state. This was not just dangerous for Israel, but it demeaned the United Nations as well. That fixation on Israel made the UN a less serious organization. I want to express our gratitude to you for calling out anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism, for refusing to bow to the pressure of those who seek to isolate, demonize, and delegitimize the only Jewish state in the world, Israel. We can think of no one who more aptly epitomizes and embodies Theodore Herzl's vision for a safer, more tolerant world for the Jewish people. Mr. Secretary General, thank you on behalf of the Jewish people.
Dear Mr. Lauder, dear friends of the World Jewish Congress, let me start by thanking Dr. Kissinger for his kind words. Successive Secretaries General of the United Nations have benefited from his perspectives on world affairs. I congratulate the legendary Zubin Mehta on receiving the Teddy Kollek Award for the advancement of Jewish culture. With its Theodore Herzl Awards, the World Jewish Congress has bestowed on me a high honor. I take this as another sign of your enduring support for the work of the United Nations. Indeed, the engagement of the World Jewish Congress dates back to the San Francisco Conference in 1945, at which the World Organization was founded. Your involvement continued with your contributions to the elaboration of the landmark Refugee Convention of 1951. And it has spanned the decades since, rooted in the horror of the Holocaust and the plight of people anywhere who face hatred, insecurity, and need. Today, that mission, your mission, is more important than ever. In recent months, a steady stream of prejudice has continued to blight our world. Anti-Semitic assaults, harassment and vandalism, Holocaust denial, a guilty plea in a neo-Nazi plot to blow up a synagogue. And with COVID-19, another virus has spread, anti-Semitism and hatred of many kinds. Age-old blood libels have been given new life. Other groups have also been falsely accused and faced not just vilification, but violence. Meanwhile, disinformation and conspiracy theories have gained alarming ground. They come in different forms, but they all traffic in the same venom, dehumanizing and scapegoating the other, whether it is Jews, Muslims, migrants, refugees, and so many others. We must fight on two fronts, the pandemic and the poison. Let me stress, for me the fight against anti-Semitism is deeply personal. I came of age in modern Europe as it was recovering from the war. Opposition to the tyranny of fascism was central in the development of my social and political consciousness. To see neo-Nazis and white supremacists on the march today is bone-chilling. To see them infiltrating militaries and security establishments heightens the danger further still. We must stand together against hatred in all its forms. Our world today needs a return to reason and the rejection of the lies and loathing that propelled the Nazis and that fractured societies today. I cannot omit my own country's record from this picture. One of the darkest chapters of Portugal's history was the discrimination and persecution of the Jews during the Middle Ages, culminating in the criminal expulsion of its Jewish inhabitants in the 16th century. This was a colossal betrayal with consequence felt for centuries. Nothing can undo the damage. But during my time as Prime Minister, I felt it necessary to find ways to atone for Portugal's part in the xenophobia that was so widespread in Europe at the time. I worked with Parliament to adopt a decree revoking the expulsion. A symbolic step, to be sure, but one that reflected not only the depths of our remorse for the past, but a lesson learned for the future. Not long after, I visited the Netherlands, to which many Portuguese Jews had fled. And I went there to apologize on behalf of my country and to deposit a copy of the decree at the Portuguese synagogue in Amsterdam. A beautiful building, echoed with deathly silence, itself a symbol of a vibrant community lost to horror. The descendants of those that survived the expulsion from Portugal became the victims of the barbaric extermination by the Nazis. Now, as Secretary General, I'm working to mobilize a global coalition against bigotry. Even before the virus struck, following a surge in anti-Semitism, anti-Muslim hatred, racism, and other forms of discrimination, the United Nations launched a plan of action against hate speech. After a series of monstrous acts of mass murder at synagogues, but also mosques and churches, we introduced a plan to protect places of worship and other religious sites. And since the spread of the virus this year, our new verified initiative has been combating rampant misinformation about COVID-19. Dear friends, this ceremony coincides with the anniversary of Kristallnacht. In remembering that night, when so much was broken, synagogues, shops, faith itself, I want to sound a note of hope for repair. It is within our power to emerge from the pandemic with stronger communities and more cohesive societies by addressing the inequalities and injustices that have been exposed so starkly. Solidarity within and among countries will be crucial. For us as individuals, that means speaking out even when one's own group may not be in the direct firing line and never abetting efforts to target others. Hatred doesn't discriminate. Let's remember what history tells us about the descent into repression and violence. One day it is your neighbor under attack, the next it is likely you. I'm also calling for a global ceasefire so that we can focus on our shared enemy, the virus. My envoys and I are exploring every possible opening for peace. In that context, and mindful of the role that the United Nations itself played in the establishment of the State of Israel, it remains my fervent hope that next year, a dialogue between Israelis and Palestinians can start again towards the goal of two states living side by side in harmony and peace in the context of a positive environment of regional cooperation recently expanded. Your contributions in advancing the human condition will be critical. I will continue to stand with you in the fight against anti-Semitism and discrimination of every kind. The United Nations is your steadfast ally in the essential struggle to uphold equality and dignity for all. Thank you again for this recognition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary General. Through your words and deeds over many years, you have shown that you are a true friend and a devoted friend to the Jewish people and the State of Israel. Now, before we see a salute to the land of Israel, it is my great pleasure to introduce my friend and a man I admire greatly, the President of the Jewish State of Israel, Reuben Rivlin.
Our dearest friend in the World Jewish Congress, it is a great pleasure to greet you on this occasion and use that opportunity to thank you from the bottom of our heart for your extraordinary partnership with the Jewish Democratic State of Israel and for all that you do to counter anti-Semitism and to support Jewish communities all around the world.
To everyone watching tonight's gala around the world, thank you for sharing this unique evening with us and for your generous support to the World Jewish Congress continuing work. Thank you to Antonio Guterres and Zub Mehta for allowing us to honor you. I wish everyone a good health and hope that we see each other again in person at next year's annual Theodor Herzl Award Gala Dinner. We will conclude tonight's program with a special rendition of Hatikva, sung by the students at the Lauder Jewish schools throughout Central Europe. Thank you, and be well. Good night.
Mizrach Katima
song.